I'm sure the president is taking a victory lap because he has the ability to revoke that emergency order. It gives him the sole authority to do that. Also, there's been
a lot
of...
He can do that today.
He can. There's also been some contention about what does catch and release exist. It's literally in paragraph 2 when you go to release from custody. Now, they say that there will be a hearing put in place when they release you from custody, but that exists now. When they release people from custody, it's about 4 to 5 years out. But these people don't show up for their court dates. So again,
but now they're going to have ankle monitors. This is what they said. Now they're going to have ankle monitors, and they got to be here within 6 months. But you have a good point. Who are the people doing the interviews?
That's right.
Right. So they might be really hard asses. Be really tough. But they're not going to be traditional judges.
They're going to be hiring more immigration judges in this bill to expedite the processing asylums and deportation proceedings. There's more funding for the wall. There's increased technology at the border and add more detention beds, agents, and deportation flights. The problem was Republicans said we're not signing over aid for Ukraine or Israel unless we do something with our border.
Right. So they did it,
Right. And the extraordinary thing, and you mentioned this at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, is you never would have thought that Democrats would vote for $1 worth of wall building, but there is some wall building,
which has already been allocated. It's Trump money that they just left in a savings account.
Right, but it can be spent at the administration's discretion. But the interesting thing is, under this suggestion, is they can turn people around on the spot. It's like, okay, you got a criminal record? Yes. Okay, get out of here. What are you trying to do?
The question is, do they?
Right.
Do that, because right now it's the sole
they can't because it's not law.
With an immigration judge.
So Senator James Lankford's coming up shortly. 25 minutes. He's going to expand on this. There's a lot of questions when you put out a bill and it's only hours old, released in 280 pages. It's just border security. Obviously, we can't cover everything. We're going to get to the most of it. The one thing I will say is I think 3 of them are honest brokers doing the best they can. Nobody's looking to throw anybody on the bus, but they all have different objectives. Sinema, evidently, is a moderate. Murphy on Connecticut is a Democrat. And then you have Lankford, who you don't get elected in Oklahoma if you're not a conservative.
And Brian, to your point, that is why it rankles Mr. Lankford that so many Republicans came out and said this is a stink bomb before they actually saw it.
There's a big poll that just came out yesterday. They at NBC talked to 1,000 registered voters, and Trump has scored his largest lead yet against Joe Biden in
beyond the margin of error.
Ainsley. That's right. In this new NBC poll, look how he does on border. They were asking these individuals, do you trust Trump or Biden to do a better job handling the border? 57% said Trump, only 22% said Biden. And when it comes to the economy, 55% said Trump and 33% said Biden.
Yeah, this is 9 months before re-election. This is very, very bad news for Joe Biden. So with these registered voters, it's interesting. Trump would beat Joe Biden by 5, but then if Nikki Haley were actually in the general election, Nikki Haley would beat Joe Biden by 9. But the problem is the primary process. And right now, Donald Trump is leading in the primary with registered Republicans 79-19. He is ahead by 60 points. She'd do great. She would do great in the general, but she can't get
these numbers shouldn't be shocking to anyone. We just finished our tour last week talking with folks that would typically vote for Democrat. They're outraged at the president. We just came back from New Hampshire as well, in Iowa, where immigration was the #1 issue. It should be alarms ringing at the White House right now. I don't think they are. I think he's going to take a victory lap with this legislation.
Yeah, and to your point, Lawrence, if you look at the numbers, they've been polling Trump and Biden over at NBC for 5 years now. Biden was leading just last July. Then September, they were even. Then November, Trump jumped ahead 46% to 44%. And now this is Trump's biggest lead.
9 months out in 2020, Trump was down by 14 points to Joe Biden. And now in 2024, Joe Biden's got a 37% approval rating, 60% disapprove. And here's the thing. If you want to beat somebody, you can beat him. You can close that gap. But you're going to have to talk. Yeah. And he does not want to give a press conference. He turned down a Super Bowl interview, which would not have been the hard. I'm sure Gayle King would have asked some tough questions. Yeah. But you should welcome that as a president, a chance to get in front of 50 to 100 million people. He turned it down. Yeah. He has a Middle East strike on 3 separate nations, and he wouldn't even call a press conference. He calls a lid and gives a one-word answer through a chopper, through the sounds of choppers in the background. Do you think these Do you think these bombings have been effective? Yes.
That's why, Brian.
See, how do you win? By giving me answers through a chopper.
That's why I don't believe the narrative that the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump. I just don't believe it at all. When you look at the polling that's coming up, the issues where Biden is weak on, Trump is strong on. They're his defining issues. So the narrative that they just want to run against Donald Trump, that he is the weaker candidate in this race, I just think is laughable.
I've got the answer, Brian, out of this NBC poll why Joe Biden has just got one-word answers, and that is this particular poll finds that fewer than 3 in 10 approve of how he is handling the Hamas-Israel thing.
Handling
Less than
everything.
3 in 10.
Handling everything. Border, crime, all of these international conflicts.
Not good for Joe.